Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Great to have everybody here. The Notre Dame Cathedral reopened today to much pomp and circumstance. Fanfare. We'll show you some of the highlights, give you some of the background information. And while Trump was there, he didn't stop tweeting, didn't stop posting on Truth. He made reference to the war in Syria. We'll tell you what he said. And we have other top news stories of the day. Plus, Joseph Lenard will be by very, very shortly to help us make sense of these conflicts that are erupting around the globe and of the domestic political scene here in Canada and the U.S. So do not go away. We have all that and more coming up right after this.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
You know, it seems like just yesterday when the Notre Dame Cathedral burned, but it was April 15th, 2019. Emmanuel Macron posted this today.
J'ai vu des flammes entre les deux tours, c'était vraiment sidérant. Je pense voilà. Et là, finalement, 3 heures après, c'est un peu la désolation et la tristesse parce qu'on s'aperçoit que ça brûle toujours.
Iconic landmark, and now it's gone-ish, and it's very upsetting to hear.
It's shocking, absolutely shocking.
Comment ils vont rebâtir, comment ils vont redonner cette touche très très ancienne à cette pièce vraiment incroyable.
Bonjour à tous. Reconstruire, c'est donc le mot du jour.
5 ans pour reconstruire Notre-Dame, c'est le délai très court annoncé hier soir à la télévision par le chef de l'État.
J'ai décidé de donner un horizon court parce que j'étais convaincu que c'est ce qui permettrait d'abord d'avoir un résultat et ensuite de donner une espérance à l'échelle humaine.
On s'est dit qu'on n'y arriverait jamais. C'était vraiment sportif.
Il a fallu cet incendie qui a fait craindre d'être définitivement privé de ce monument pour mesurer l'attachement qu'on avait pour lui.
C'est hors norme par les quantités de matériel, c'est hors norme par le nombre de compagnons sur le chantier. Tout est hors norme dans ce chantier, donc c'est pour ça qu'il vous faut des personnes hors normes pour faire ça. Voilà.
Toujours la même histoire, il faut mettre les gens ensemble, les faire travailler ensemble et les diriger vers un objectif commun.
On a les savoir-faire, on a les compétences.
Notre-Dame de Paris, c'est des métiers. Et ça fait tout ce dont est capable l'humanité lorsqu'elle a décidé de faire du beau.
Pour les amoureux du patrimoine, c'est avant tout une œuvre qui est essentielle à transmettre aux générations futures, parce que ça fait partie de notre histoire commune.
Il y avait une logique de transmission du savoir qui est assez incroyable. Et d'ailleurs, ce chantier, c'est le chantier de la transmission par excellence.
On a montré, je pense, au monde entier qu'on n'avait pas perdu nos savoir-faire.
On espère vraiment que les architectes n'ont pas cru que c'était un timing normal. On a vraiment réussi à répondre aux problématiques de temps et de qualité, mais parce que c'était une fois l'effort de guerre, une fois.
On est passé de la nuit à la lumière.
Jamais la cathédrale n'aura resplendi à ce point.
On retrouve cette belle silhouette qui nous a manqué pendant 5 ans.
Let's not wait. Let's bring Joseph in right now and get him to join us and share his thoughts on this. Hello,
tonight, sir. Tonight. Whoa! Damn you. That's still in my head.
Yeah, you sent me an email saying something about that. I didn't quite understand.
Well, no, okay. Well, so the audience will understand. I was supposed to be with you Monday, then you had internet issues, had to cancel.
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
Today you send me an email. What's it say? Tonight, ? Well, I knew
Right.
what you meant, but the way my OCD brain works, Genesis, tonight has been in my head all damn day now.
Well, what do you think of what we just saw?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, in all seriousness. Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody in the chat was asking, wondering if anything is different. Well, obviously, I'm sure they couldn't afford to restore everything with exact replaceable materials. So, but will it be noticeable? I guess is the question. And the real thing is, and they honored them, the heroes that ran into the fire at their peril, knowing the place was coming down, rushing out with relics that would never be able to be replaced so that they could be saved to put back. But unless someone's walking around with old photographs inch by inch, well, that's kind of off, or, that's, I would imagine they've done a pretty good job of indeed taking all old photographs and ensuring they try to replicate everything as close as they possibly could,
Oh, yes, yeah.
with newer, more modern materials, perhaps, to cut the cost corner, because the cost was outrageous to do what they did, but to actually turn it back to what it was with materials from the original sources would have been way astronomical.
Yeah, well, I think, what did they spend on this? About $1 billion, I saw?
Yeah, it would have been 10, 20, 100 times that. Again, if I don't know if they could recover and restore. I would imagine marble doesn't burn. So what much of that original stuff may have originally been mined and moved from Italy into there? Could they clean up and actually restore and keep, or have to replace with something cheaper replica of, or not? But again, as long as they come really, really close to making it look like it was as best they can, I think everyone will understand.
Yeah, 750 million is the figure that I'm seeing here, but I also saw an estimate of around $1 billion. So give or take 300 million or 250 million.
Oh, hey, today that's a rounding error.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why Elon is in Doge and Vivek. Enough of these multi-million-dollar rounding errors. No, I don't care if it costs $1, $10, 10 million, or 10 billion. If it's not constitutional, if it's overreach, cut it, and eventually all those little numbers add up to a bigger number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it was obviously a very emotional day for many people. Even, as I sit here watching that, it makes the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. It's just in a positive way. It says to me that as much as I see people disenchanted with their governments, with religion, with our institutions these days, at the end of the day, I think most people truly do value our countries, our cultures, our freedoms.
Our history.
Our history.
As much as many are trying to destroy it. Yeah, I saw or heard the Pope wasn't going to be there. Now, I don't know the reasoning. I would sure hope there was at least an official Vatican delegation there. Because I did see also somebody in the comments mention, didn't see anybody from Canuckian land there. As like, now, they had plenty of forewarning to know when this would be happening. And, you know, Jill Biden is in Africa on a last minute trip for what? You're on your way out. You're done. You're over. You're through. Get the hell out. But no, let's take another junket over out and about on a world tour to waste more money with your irrelevance. Not even Joe, it's Jill.
So as I understand it, the Pope didn't attend, according to the Vatican, possibly for a few reasons. One, the official reason is there was a scheduling conflict. The other reason was the Pope said that
how far ahead though?
Yeah. The Pope said that he didn't want to distract from the focus of the event, which was the reopening of the cathedral itself, which
I could buy that one.
Yeah, because he could overshadow it, because when the Pope goes someplace, it becomes all about the Pope.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, there are also political considerations. There was speculation that
he's the nincompoop commie Pope.
And he
Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah, and he I guess is dissatisfied with President Emmanuel Macron and his policies, particularly regarding the constitutional right to abortion, and then there are some other reasons, I guess, that maybe we're not aware of entirely, but it's politics.
So I can buy some of this reasoning why the Pope wouldn't be there, but why the hell wasn't Joe Biden there? Why wasn't Trudeau there? I mean, come on.
I guess Jill Biden was there, and Trump, of course, was there.
I thought Jill was in Africa. Did they change her schedule and put her there finally?
Yeah.
Somebody.
So Trudeau also, I'm checking, and he says that it was due to a community event in Montreal, which was a scheduling conflict. I don't think that Trudeau, honestly, is very, how shall I put this? I don't think he doesn't come across as much of a man of God or faith even,
He said it, not me, but I will ditto that.
Yeah.
Hey, that goes for Joe Biden, the fake Catholic. I mean...
Yeah, Biden also saying it was a scheduling conflict, but Jill went to represent the United States. But somehow, well, not surprisingly, Trump shows up and upstages all of the people there. The headlines seemed to be more about, well, almost as much about Trump attending as the opening of the cathedral itself. Any thoughts on that?
Well, in a way... Again, I'm not here to put on my red MAGA hat and rah, 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 everything my guy, my side. You could make the argument that maybe he should have just sent Melania instead of him, because, again, the overshadowing thing, as we're seeing, some of the outlets are making it all about him being there rather than the event itself. So, I mean, I could see both sides of that.
Yeah. And then I came across this. He met Macron, right? Trump met Macron, and they had this handshake. And now the whole handshake thing, this is like handshake wars, right? So I'm gonna bring this up and show this to people. Talk about politics. And I mean, it's politics. We're talking about egos. We're talking about power plays. We're talking about childish behavior, I think, here.
Well, there is Trump's inner 6-year-old. I mean, so, yeah.
So check this out. Check this out. This is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. These guys, they're having some sort of testosterone-charged competition over this stupid handshake. And it's been ongoing, I guess, for a long time. So this is the latest installment, and we have a comparison video here. Check it out. This is funny. This is so ridiculous, so ridiculously stupid. I'm gonna just mute the audio. It's funny enough as it is. Look how long. Look what they're doing. Timing it here on the top one. This is back in 2017. This is the one today. Didn't last as long today.
Who
look at this in 2017.
Right. Who's giving whom the wedding ring, and when are they getting married? I mean,
And he doesn't let go. Look, he's still got a hold of his hand. Now he's got her hand too. Almost. Oh, look at this is ridiculous. Oh, that's funny. Almost 29 seconds.
But those kind of world leaders on the world stage, antics matter a little and to a degree, right? I mean, look at like the G20 and whatever. When Trump was there and involved, he's dead center. Biden's there, relegated to the back corner. I mean,
it seems so. It just seems so fake. This. Oh,
fake.
Hello. I'm so glad to see you again. Oh, I love you so much. I'm not letting go of your hand. Yes, I'm gonna pat your hand. Oh, Emmanuel. Oh,
fake
yes.
and trivial, but
oh, my good friend, Emmanuel.
That's part of politics, right?
It's just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So who wins? Who do you think won who's winning the handshake battle?
Well, back here, I was going to say back here, the press would say our guy did, of course, but given our media, I'm sure they all say Macron won. In France, of course, they'll play it up for him, as you would think they should, as our media, right? Because like war, all sides partake in the propaganda. Angles, spin, right?
If he grabbed my hand and didn't let go, I'd be like,
give me a damn hand back.
Give me back. Donald, what the hell are you doing? Then he'd let go and I'd go flying and fall on my keister. I'd be like, what the hell? Yeah, it's funny. It's very funny. It shows how, I don't know, it just shows how stupid everything is, right?
Trump's over the top, celebrity-esque, kind of like Reagan back when too, right? We didn't think in those terms then, but Reagan's celebrity helped him then. Trump's celebrity apprentice stuff helps him now. All the others are now playing up to that, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. So, I don't know, man. When we had other stuff we were going to talk about earlier this week, and then the
throw it all
technical
out.
Stuff happened. Like, I don't know. So I don't even know what we're going to talk about now tonight.
I saw somebody mention Syria in the chat, so I do want to address that. They're saying Trump is rightfully saying, let them fight it out. I agree with that part. It's not our fight part is kind of juxtapositioning and posturing now, because we very much have an interest in not wanting ISIS and Al-Qaeda having yet another domain, another nation state to operate from. And that's part of the mix here. We may not like Assad, but a degree of stability and understanding of what is with him there, and it goes back to Erdogan. We've had the discussion in the past. I think we should have engaged in the military, helped their military in the coup overthrow Erdogan. I think Turkey should be kicked out of NATO. Erdogan is more an Islamic fundamentalist, and we're seeing that here, him backing ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria, while at the meantime, again, still trying to suppress our other allies, the Kurds. So it's messy, it's dirty. So I get the let's just be standoffish for now, but it might become our fight at some point if the wrong people do land up taking over. Right in Iraq, Trump went back into Iraq to smack down ISIL, that Barack let build back up again. But yeah, I agree. Let's be standoffish now. When your enemies are beating up on each other, let them do it. Let them knock themselves out and tire each other out for a bit. And though I worry, like with that comment in the chat, it is kind of our fight. But if we can avoid our own boots on the ground, let's do that as long as possible and hope it turns out that we don't have to get involved later. But hey, I'm just saying, don't be surprised if later we do.
Well, this is what he posted. He said, opposition fighters in Syria, in an unprecedented move, have totally taken over numerous cities in a highly coordinated offensive and are now on the outskirts of Damascus, obviously preparing to make a very big move toward taking out Assad. And that's Putin's boy there. That's just right. An installed leader propped up by Russia. And I'm so tired of people it's always the CIA. But here, let me just finish what he's, it's Russia's more guilty of this kind of activity than the United States. Anyway, Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine, and with the loss there of over 600,000 soldiers, seems incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand, and all hell broke out with Russia stepping in, of course, because you create a power vacuum and in come, your adversaries. But now they are, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out, and it may actually be the best thing that can happen to them. There was never much of a benefit in Syria for Russia, other than to make Obama look really stupid. It was their toehold into the Middle East. That's what Syria has been. In any event, Syria is a mess, says Trump, but is not our friend. And all caps, from this point on, the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved.
For now. I agree with that. For now. Again, let them beat each other up. We would have liked to have seen Assad overthrown for many decades now, but yeah, you got to pick and choose your battles. You can't fight every battle on the planet. And again, let them go at it. Yeah, Assad is not our friend. And
Joseph,
Putin is not our friend. It's these people with this delusion, so anti-Biden, they got to be pro-Putin.
I know.
That's not principled. 100 years of history.
And people need to realize that, there's just no denying that Russia had a puppet in place in Syria. That wasn't a government of the people for the people. That was a Russian proxy, propped up fake government created by, supported by, installed by, defended by Russia.
As indeed was the Shah in Iran for a while. And a lot of people in Iran right now indeed are begging if only the Shah could have stayed in power versus what they've got now. And then because of that dynamic, we then backed Saddam for a while, who was direct descendant of Nazis that conspired and worked with when Hitler was there to meet with the Mufti and all. The Ba'athist Party was a direct descendant party of the Nazi Party. That's why after the latest Iraq war, it was banned in Iraq, just like the Nazi Party was banished from Germany.
I see all these posts too, like pro-Russian influencers, streamers, podcasters, Twitterers, Xers. They're blaming the United States for everything going on in Syria. And I'm like, I know, like the U.S. is in there. They are supporting a very small group, right? But I don't see evidence of like heavy involvement by the U.S. there. There have been some A-10 warthogs seen in the air, but but this is so complicated, and you have multiple interests,
This is the facts.
engaging.
People don't realize we still have troops in Somalia, even after all the Black Hawk Down thing, and Clinton then sucked up to Aidid, the warlord we were supposedly trying to free the nation from. But Trump, again, some of the Trump cultists who refuse to deal in reality is, Trump pulled all the troops out of Syria. No, he didn't. He pulled a bunch of them out and many of them back, but even Trump kept a presence in Syria. There are American troops on Syrian soil the very time that we're speaking. The point is that we want them to hold certain ground, but hopefully not have to engage. They're mainly there protecting Israel's northern front.
So, what do you make? Well, here, you know what? Let me play this this clip of Trump today saying that he does not want the U.S. to get involved in the conflict, and well, he'll just elaborate on what we just read. So here he is, and then I'll get your thoughts.
Just as importantly, bringing back empowerment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing. They love killing. And the globalists out of our government. We're going to get the warmongers and the globalists out of our government. Just as importantly, bringing back empowerment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing.
So there you go.
Yeah, well, I agree. But the point here is there's still some posturing. You've got to look at all the reality. And again, I agree with him. There are too many that are automatically interventionist anytime, any place, any opportunity. I'm against that. But I am also against Neville Chamberlainism, isolationism. Fortress America is a farce. It can't be. And that's where, Trump, his balance at times, people want to look at him as an isolationist. Well, I wouldn't support him if America first were America alone or America only. And his past record shows that's not him. He did give aid to Ukraine during his first term in hopes of preventing escalation of that war. He didn't try to interject us and intervene to help kick Russia out of Crimea at that time, but he didn't want it to expand. So he sent aid. And again, Syria, yes, he drew back some troops. He didn't withdraw them all. And again, there are still troops in Somalia. So Trump, I think tries to play it right. We can't be involved everywhere all the time. But like Iraq, he built back up, went back in to destroy ISIS when he needed to. So he will act at times, but the preference is to not act. And again, I agree in this position with Syria. If we can avoid it and just let them beat the crap out of one another, that's the best strategy, at least for now. Things may change a year or two from now.
It feels different this time, and the rhetoric is different this time. I have to admit, I am concerned. I'm seeing strange things. I'm seeing confrontational things. Confrontation being brewed up through this rhetoric that is aimed at allies, friendly nations, where it's really, I don't think, necessary. Case in point, the 25% tariff threat against Canada and Mexico across the board.
Well, threats
25%. And Joseph, when Trudeau goes down to meet with him, the Trudeau team comes away with the message that it's unavoidable. It is going to happen, no matter what. As soon as he takes office, 25% tariffs across the board. Now, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that, but that's what we're hearing. And then forgive me, but then he sits there and makes this joke about Canada becoming the 51st state.
I love that troll. That was funny.
But Joseph, you know what, man? There's something more to it, because I've been hearing that exact kind of talk from
I
Tim
would
Pool,
love for
Jackson
Ontario.
Hinkle,
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, Lieutenant Steve Rogers, and now Trump. Like, this is not coincidental. There's something more going on. I don't know what it is, but it's worrisome to me. I don't like it. And as a Canadian, at a certain point, I pay more attention than the average person. So I'm seeing it, right? And I can tell you that pissed some Canadians off. He lost some support
no doubt.
up here by saying that. For what? If it's just a joke, it ain't worth it. And secondly, it offends me frankly a little bit. I've been he's losing me a little bit, right? When he does stuff like that, because it's like, well, why the hell are you focusing so much on us when you've got much, much bigger problems with bigger adversaries? This could be, you can get the same result out of Canada, by just being friendly. You don't need to be adversarial like this. For instance, there's an old joke. How do you get a bunch of Canadians out of a swimming pool?
I don't know.
You say, everybody out of the pool. I mean, it's that easy. Okay? It's just, we're so agreeable. It's just that easy. You don't have to say, get out or I'm going to take a flamethrower to you, or, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody out, and then okay.
Well, it's a difference between you, the people, and your fascistic government right now. Just like Russia. The Russian people are not my enemy. Putin, who's been involved and in charge for the last 25 years.
We live right next door. We're trading partners. We're symbiotically connected. We're practically an extension of the United States in many respects now. So, and you guys are so much bigger than us that all you have to do is say, hey, you know what? We want this, and we'll talk to you about it. We'll be pretty reasonable, and in the end, you guys have the power.
Well, I
largely.
The point with Trump is that we've tried the carrot all the time, the bad NAFTA deal, and even his reworked USMCA still gave quite a bit away at a time that, again, supposedly to be U.S. first. So I don't have a problem with a little bit of stick to go with the carrot. And the threat is already working. And the proof is exactly what you said. I'm seeing, and I have no doubt other states are seeing downwind of BC and downwind of other provinces. In Michigan, we're seeing ads every day bombarding our airwaves about, the spirit of cooperation, and we're symbiotic and we've got to work together. So the stick is already working. The threat of the tariffs is already working. I hope, indeed, we don't enact any of them, and I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what
is in danger of happening here. It might not work the way he thinks, because even me, I'm a pretty agreeable guy overall, but you threaten me.
Yeah.
You threaten me and I get my back up. You threaten me with 25% tariff. If I was the prime minister, I'd tell him to go stuff it. I would. I'd come back with real strength and I'd say, yeah, you want your lumber? Think again. You want your uranium? Think again. Okay, you want your uranium because you're not getting it from Russia. We've got the uranium. You want that?
Oh,
well, let's really talk then, okay?
Hillary
because,
gave away our uranium to Russia. Remember
yeah, well,
but
the point is,
button?
that's why you need it, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we've got it. We have it. So that's what I would say to Mr. Trump if he threatened me when we're friends.
Yes, I get it. Right, you got to be careful.
I would. I'd kick him in the ass.
Time,
he's lucky. He's lucky I wasn't sitting at the table with him, honestly, because I don't take shit like that. You want to threaten me, boy? Okay, Trump. That's how I talk to him too. I'd be like, "Fuck you, fuck you, and your 25% tariff. You want a fucking tango? Let's go. We've got what you need. You've got what we need. You come back and be civil, and then we'll talk. Until then, fuck you. We'll go do more trade with other nations. We'll go to the European Union."
But it is his, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And again,
bad move.
I can see both sides, and I agree with what you're saying there. It's his art of the deal concept.
You watch my art of the deal.
You start off big, and then you settle for something else.
Yeah, I can start pretty fucking big too. We got lots of wealth up here, a lot of it untapped. So F you. You be nice, then we'll talk. No threats. Don't respond to threats. No need, because we're longtime partners. So don't come trying to kick my ass, because I'll kick you right back to the fucking border.
Yeah. Well, I see you as a friend and a partner. But
Goddamn
I sure
right.
as fuck don't see Justin Trudeau.
Well, he doesn't like Justin, right? Yeah, and Trudeau said nasty things to him. But as the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of Canada, it's not about your personal grievances. You're there to work in the best interests of the people on both sides of the border. And a trade war between Canada and the United States doesn't help people on either side. We have people who drive back and forth between Detroit and Windsor every day working. We have, like massive amounts of resources going back and forth, oil, we have lumber, all these things that we both need. We need to work together, not sit there and fight. And
we need to get the Keystone pipeline back on track for one.
Yeah. No, it's
Line 5 here in Michigan. That's generally a Michigan thing between the UP and the Lower Peninsula. But that has everything to do with Ontario, too. That water gets poisoned. It poisons your water, too. So...
And don't get me wrong, I generally speaking like Donald Trump. I generally do. This is why I'm like, what the hell are you doing? We like you. Stop it. Right? Why are you trying to beat up a friend? It makes no sense. But whatever. We'll see where it goes. I just, it worries me, this rhetoric.
He does that, though. He throws a lot of shit out there. A lot, like a lot of people say, well, he means what he says and says what he means. No, actually, he throws a lot of shit out there at times he doesn't mean.
And Pooh Bear in the chat is saying, Rick, Trudeau dislikes churches. I kind of believe that.
Be like, oh my God, he's near the holy water. He might melt.
I can understand why Trudeau didn't go, because I think there's some truth to that. And how many churches have burned in Canada now that he just kind of like, whatever, it's kind of understandable. No, burning churches, bad, very bad. Not cool with that. I'm going to look it up.
Well, it's part of the whole left. And Trudeau is an ultra leftist. The commie, fascist, socialist blend destroy anything and everything to do with Western culture.
Yeah, at least 33 churches across Canada have been destroyed, and
I've never heard a
over
peep
well
from him
over
about it.
yeah over 112 have been vandalized or damaged, and substantially. That's serious stuff. Like this, that's an assault on
too.
Christianity.
Yeah. The left is doing that here too. You just, again, also don't hear a whole lot about it. You certainly wouldn't hear anything from fake Catholic Biden about it. Trump, you will hear some about it and why he's there at the reopening today. Although, I consider him a very much improved man than what he used to be. Right? Serial adulterer. All those things are still true. That is fact. But I consider him an improved and better man than he was. And I think faith has played a large part of that. Do I consider him a, perfect Christian? No, but who is? Who's perfect? None of us. So he's got plenty of faults still, but thank God he's better than he used to be. If he was, I didn't support him in 2016. I left the presidential ballot portion blank between him and Hillary. Thank God he won even without my vote here in Michigan, and he only carried Michigan by 10,000 votes that year. So he needed my vote, but I expected, indeed, he was still that old Donald, the fake, the fraud, the New York liberal. I did buy into that, and he very much earned my vote, obviously, for 2020 and 2024. He is different than what he was. Thank God, not entirely. Still that damn inner 6-year-old at times,
You say he's different. I think he's different. There's a lot of different stuff around him. The people around him are different. Some key people are still there. There's, I took note of Sebastian Gorka in an interview that he did. I think he did a couple of interviews where he, expressed really strong support for Israel. And even on the Ukraine issue, while people seem to think that Trump's just going to come in there and just cut off all aid immediately or something, I don't know. I'm not getting that sense from Sebastian Gorka. And, this is a guy who's, I think, in the know. But on the other hand, a lot of the other people around him that he's trying to get into his administration, they seem, it's like 50% are on this side and 50% are on that side, and it's hard for me to tell where this whole thing is going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, we are all a product of our immediate time, too. Anyone who thinks they're the exact same person they were 20 years ago when things were different 20 years ago is lying to themselves. We all adapt and change at least a little.
I'm much better looking now than I was.
Yeah, we keep our values and principles, but you have to understand strategically sometimes things have to adjust. And again, with all we have going on here, the disaster that we need to clean up after Biden, we don't want to be bogged down in Ukraine anymore. And I get that. So if we can get a settlement, I'm all for it. But I think as part of this, if Putin really wants to be honest and say, I have no more territorial demands, we not be Neville Chamberlain and say, okay, just sign here like Budapest, right? No. NATO troops go into what remains of Ukraine. And if you have no more territorial demands, that will not matter.
Yeah. What did you watch that Tucker Carlson interview?
The 1 years ago with Putin?
No, the new one. This new one with Foreign Minister Lavrov.
I stopped paying attention to Tucker years ago.
Yeah.
That pretty much the final straw was the sucking Putin's dick on TV in that interview with Putin.
Yeah, I just came across this just now. This is pretty good. I like this. This is funny.
Is Tucker getting a little tougher now, or
this? No. On the contrary, somebody posted this. Said this is a picture of Tucker Carlson in Moscow interviewing Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov.
Yeah. Well, again, this is a classic example of Biden derangement syndrome. He is not operating currently on principles and values, but only what he can stick his finger in the eye of Biden. So he's going to be pro-Putin. And it's absurd. It's not principled. And if he were completely anti-war in it, I could get that. But to side with Putin as he does is just absurd. Because again, I don't want war. I don't like the war. I want it to end. But there's always one certain way to peace: slavery, surrender. Just surrender, but then you're not free. So
yeah.
I'm against war, but I'm not about to fucking bend over and surrender either.
That's what. Look, man, that's what the whole Russian operation is about right now. I don't think they have the military they say they do. I don't think they have anywhere near the military.
Or there would be no North Korean troops up there.
That's right. And so, but what they do have is an extremely effective, powerful, and effective propaganda machine, information warfare machine, and a bunch of fake journalists who are operating even over here in the West.
A lot of Americans, like Tucker Carlson, happy to just shovel whatever propaganda they want.
The objective.
I was thinking about this earlier, right? Putin talking points, it's like Barnum said, right? Sucker born every minute. There are somebody always willing to buy it. And if you don't look deep, they're throwing the talking points in the Russian propaganda and trying to make it look like it's big, deep, cavernous, wide ocean. It goes deep, but no, it's a thin swamp. If you dig down, the ground is right there, and it can be easily drained and dried out and get to the reality of terra firma there. But they peddle it like it's this big ocean, and there's a lot of people happy to lap it up because they won't look 1 inch beneath the surface of it.
Yeah.
If that analogy makes any sense to you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to find a clip here that we can run of little Tucker to kind of give people a sense of. Let me just take a little break here. We'll come back on the other side and we'll continue with this conversation. Oh man, I hate even talking about this stuff because people they're so emotionally involved. You can't say things one way or the other without getting half the people upset. But we'll be right back and we'll see what else we can piss off. Don't stay with us. We'll piss you off as soon as we come back.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay. Hang on, we'll be right back. Joseph's still not there, so we'll give him a second here to come back.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I don't know. Is Joseph back? There he is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
you know, no, it's what you said, emotion, right? You and I have talked Clinton and the Budapest thing, and I have no doubt, I don't want to impugn Clinton's intention here. And, you know, maybe he honestly really thought that could work. But then Obama came in and basically said, I'm going to ignore Budapest, so Putin, go right ahead and ignore Budapest too. And he went into Crimea. Trump came in, yes, and gave Ukraine weapons and aid to make sure it didn't expand. He didn't try to help counter it necessarily, because he did, but he damn well did things to make sure it didn't expand. And of course, then Biden comes in and wants to have it both ways. I'm going to uphold the Budapest Agreement and we will be involved, but Putin knows, you're weak. You're weak, I can roll you over. And he expanded the war further into Ukraine. None of this would have happened without Clinton and them giving up their nukes. And it really, maybe the Clinton deal could have held if it weren't for Obama basically saying, do whatever you want there, we don't care, I'm not going to do anything.
Now here, I'll just pick a random clip from the interview. I watched some of it. I haven't watched it all. I got nauseous after a while because Tucker went in there and once again, either not prepared so that he has no frickin' idea what he's even listening to in the interview, asked no hard questions. He just let the guy talk and didn't challenge him on anything. It was just, give me your narrative. Give me your talking points.
We're not talking about exterminating anybody's population. We did not start this war.
Yes, you did.
We have been, for years and years and years, sending warnings that pushing NATO closer and closer to our borders is going to create a problem. 2007, Putin started to explain, to the people who seem to be overtaken by the end of history and being dominant, no challenge, and so on and so forth. And of course, when the coup took place, the Americans did not hide that they were behind it.
Oh, come on. See that right there. Okay? They just call what happened in 2014 a coup. No. That's not a fact. It is a Russian talking point. I would say it's propaganda. The truth of the matter is there were massive protests. Yes, they have that recording of Victoria Nuland, talking about, bringing in their guy and all. They were talking about the sales pitch that the U.S. was giving to Ukraine to bring them more into the EU at a time when Russia was also doing the same thing, providing kind of a sales pitch or trying to finesse Ukraine staying with them because they had their guy, Yanukovych, who was their puppet. That was an installed government. That was an installed selected president by Putin. That was Putin's boy in power in Kyiv. And
like
that's why
Belarus.
Putin's upset, because the people were rejecting him. They didn't want him, and Putin threw a temper tantrum. He couldn't have that. And this goes back to the Orange Revolution before that, where he had trouble because he couldn't get his guy in, and they got caught by international observers fixing the election in Ukraine. And Putin got his nose out of joint at that point. It goes all the way back to the Orange Revolution. It goes back even further than that. It goes back 30-some years. I just watched another interview today, an old one on PBS with Henry Kissinger, talking about these very issues about NATO expansion. And NATO was always very reluctant. They didn't really want to absorb these former Soviet countries because it was so problematic. But these countries like Poland,
they're
now
begging.
They were afraid of Russia.
Yeah,
they
and
begged
should be.
to join NATO because they're under threat.
Even
and so,
Georgia.
Which is going on right now.
Georgia wants to be part of NATO, and there's no real connectivity or continuity. All the former Soviet blocs know damn well Putin wants to reconstitute the Soviet Empire. Of course they want to be part of NATO.
Putin stated as such back in the early 90s. So this is, the whole NATO expansion thing.
It's a canard.
It is, because there was never there was
never a threat to Russia.
Memorandum, a memo of some references made, I think it was by James Baker at the time, and in meetings at the time with Gorbachev. But even Gorbachev, and I planned the interview years later, said that he wasn't really deceived. No, there was never anything in writing about NATO agreeing to not expand further. Now, there was talk about that, so there is a little bit of merit to it, but there was nothing formally to prevent NATO from expanding further over time. There's no formal agreement, but there was a formal agreement at the Budapest Memorandum where both the United States, the UK, and Russia all agreed that if Ukraine gave up the nukes, then we will recognize the borders. Nobody will ever invade, and Ukraine will remain basically an independent, sovereign, neutral country. And that's what it was supposed to be.
Putin thought it would always be a puppet state like Belarus.
Right.
But now it's different because they refuse to be a puppet state for Russia.
Yes.
So he invaded.
And the reason the people wanted to join the EU, even though at the time Ukraine was facing a financial crisis in 2014, and they needed financial assistance. So both Russia and the EU came there, and they were offering a bailout package for the government, an economic bailout package. And you see, Russia was offering
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where'd Rick go? Hello, everybody. Hopefully Rick is not having internet connection issues again tonight, but let me stall a little until he jumps back in. But indeed, this is not new information. This information is all easily verifiable. We've talked about it before, but yet some want to cling to the delusion that somehow the dictator of Russia, who's been there since Yeltsin, Prime Minister to Yeltsin, overthrew him in the coup, so the other ex KGB and communist insiders could reconstitute their power and control over Russia, and over stated they wanted to reconstitute the Soviet Empire. Gorbachev and Yeltsin were the exceptions to the rule that we're seeing play out again now. And I don't know, should I sing and dance maybe? Should we do the Trump dance? Did you see he added the golf swing now to the Trump dance? That seems to be consuming a lot of the news. Because in the NFL, there's a whole lot of people doing the Trump dance after scores, and now Trump added the golf swing thing to the end of the dance, and oh my God, that's got everybody abuzz. So, but would we rather be talking silly stuff like that? Wouldn't it be great if all we had to talk about was the silly stuff? I'd rather not be here to talk this serious stuff, especially when I know there are so many delusional people who refuse to look at the last 100 years of history of Russia, going back and oppression of Ukraine for more than 100 years, and going back. They invade Stalin and Russia invaded Finland before Hitler invaded anyway. They invaded Poland the same time as Hitler. But Churchill was one of the few to recognize they're not our friend. They're not our ally. Then they were a useful necessity at the time, because if we were to only fight a one front war, there'd be no way to win. So we had to help Stalin and the Russians to some degree. But if Hitler would have never come to power, World War II still would have happened, because it would have been Russian oppression and aggression and invasion, which, like I said, they did start. They invaded Finland first. And that's why Finland is now a member of NATO. They know Russia will eventually invade them again. And why every former Soviet bloc state that isn't a puppet, like Belarus, wants to be part of either the EU or NATO for protection from the Russian aggressors and the 100 years of history. After the Soviet bloc retreated a bit, that's why the Clinton and the Budapest Accord came about. And again, the history is, I've spoken of the movie with Norton, not Edward Norton. I forget what Norton, but maybe it was Edward Norton. The movie Mr. Rogers. If you don't know anything about the Ukraine-Russia situation, see that movie. It's why some in Ukraine indeed welcomed the German troops to kick out the Russian commies.